why I say that.
Oh, the multiverse is real. And thanks to DC, they overly complicated it with
The Omniverse.
Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
And I'm your co-host, Ian. Brandon is on his way. He got held up.
Being dad.
Yep.
Today, we hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure. Today, we are discussing Mordekainen's Guide to Monsters of the Multiverse. All the new content, the new changes. Mostly, we're going to talk about the changes because that's the thing everyone cares about. It's what I care about. So we're super excited to delve into it. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Wizard to finding a way to empty my coin purse more than I needed it to by forcing me to buy this in a pack with books I already have.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of our one big criticism so far, because we like the book itself, but the way they're releasing it is not cool, because they are selling it so far in only a 3-pack, which contains Xanathars and Tashas, which most long-time players already own.
So thanks for that.
And they're not selling it standalone until May, and they don't even have it on D&D Beyond until May, which was odd. So, but
which is that's one of my biggest gripes. So
once
Wizards, what the hell?
Yep. So once we hit May, it'll be all good, but still.
My mic is not loud. Let me double check that.
But the second thing is you talking, that's impressive.
Oh, shush. I'm also standing back far enough so I could do this. All right, so there's a lot to talk about in the Mordekainen's Monsters of the Multiverse. First, we do want to get into some of the different chapters in this book. It is mostly a monster book, but the other part of it is really, really nice.
Now, the other complaint I have heard from some people say about this comes from some complaints I've seen on the lines of is like, okay, so this book is only just play races that we already got and monsters that are been released, so why are we bringing this all over again? And you know what? That's a fair question. That's true. But, and believe me, there's quite a few dots after that but. Because yes, it is races where we've seen, both playable and monster-wise, but they've all been revamped.
Yes, and if anybody that has picked up the Xanathars and the Tashas knows that they've been progressively making changes and balances to the game, and this has all been implemented in Mordekainen's Guide to Monsters in the Multiverse, specifically for the races, which, by the way, in their first chapter, the fantastical races, you get over 30 options for player characters, complementing the options in the player's handbook and other D&D books. There are a few that are missing. We were actually having this discussion off air. Considering it's a book of multiverse and it doesn't have all of the characters from Ravnica, I was a little upset because some of those are some of my favorites.
And they have like some from Theros, but not all. Like they have the satyrs in there and the minotaurs, but they don't have the Leonin, which I thought was an odd omission.
Yeah, and so we don't know what's going on. Maybe they're just trying to get a page count or what their deal is, but
and they don't have the Dragonborn in there, but they also had the Dragonborn in Fizzbanes, which also just came out. Now, granted, I can see why. Like, okay, on one hand, Fizzbanes also just came out, but on the flip side, it would have been nice if everything in one place.
So let's talk about some of the changes. Obviously, the big one's going to be the ability score increases, right? For those of you who don't know, for a long time, D&D races have had specific stats. So, for instance, an orc always got a +2 to strength, then they got a +1 to con, right?
Yeah.
So, what they decided to do, if you picked up Tasha's, you're already aware, that instead of saying these are the stats that race gets, because they're not all the same, and I think any show that showed you goblins, they're not all the same. You have big muscular ones, you have small scrawny ones, and so by giving that versatility to the player, it means they can build the character that they want without it suffering some other way. For instance, if I want to play an orc wizard, I'm going to have a higher strength, but I'm never going to benefit from that.
Right.
And when I do, it's going to be very rarely. So for being able to apply those stats wherever you want, is a benefit in the player's hands. Now, you still want that +2 strength within con with your wizard? Go ahead. You can just put them in there, but now other people aren't held to that same thing. And I think that, honestly, in my opinion, for customization purposes, I think that was a good design move.
I can see the argument both ways for that one, but that's another topic unto itself, too.
That's quite literally the topic we're discussing.
Right.
But
it makes sense, for example, like a halfling not being as strong as a half orc, but that's another topic.
Well, but doesn't that depend on the individual character? if you got a halfling that's been cranking out, busting weights at the gym every single day, but you got an orc who is lazy and doesn't, and only eats salads and is very scrawny and shit.
But at the same time, like it makes sense that a wolf is stronger than a chihuahua.
It depends.
But you get, I'm pretty sure a chihuahua's going to lose to a tug of war every time.
In a world of magic, I don't know that that's true. Because our adventurers are chihuahua-sized to dragons.
Yeah. But you also get what I'm saying.
I see what you're saying. You're comparing something non-magical to a world of magic. Anyways,
True.
So, and I think that's one thing that makes it how you can get away with that sort of thing. The other thing that they changed for the races, which, by the way, the races they got in here are really good.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the fairy and the Haragon, which are in the Witchlight book that we covered recently.
Surprised the Owlings were in there too, for that matter.
Dulcinea says, I heard a lot of flack about Tasha's making every character a Mary Sue, and what I ended up seeing was a bigger variety of characters, and it was awesome. Abso-frickin-lutely. While everyone wants to put all their points into their top priority stat, some people want to cover their weaknesses, because that's the type of player I am, especially when everything is tied to like hit points and stuff, and con is something that often doesn't get as much attention because there's few races that benefit from it, that don't benefit from it, that have to fight other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So aside, they also made changes to the languages, right? No longer does your race determine the type of language you get. You just get to pick two.
And one of them's common.
And one of them's common. Another big note.
Probably.
Another big note is, I don't know if you noticed, but all the speeds are now 30.
Yep.
That's a big change for smaller races like halflings and gnomes, because that 25 foot could make a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was an interesting one.
And then spellcasting, you now choose which stat is the spellcasting one instead of it being tied to one. And they also
is so awesome, because now I can play a con. You're talking about how you get to pick intelligence, wisdom, or charisma for innate powers.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
And how they gave the natural weapons overall a boost from a D4 to D6s.
Yes.
And in a few cases, some races that had like I resist all magic in general just became resistance to advantage to spell saves.
Yes, which means it doesn't affect spell attacks.
Which, let's be real, kind of makes total sense, because before it was kind of broken.
Okay, so there's something we talked about before the show about Goliaths.
Yep.
And I know this is something you've brought up before, your biggest concern. Do you want to tell everyone? Because I thought this was a pretty great change.
Okay, like beforehand, the Goliaths, they have their Stone's Endurance trait, which was you roll D12, add your con, and could use it once every short rest, and that was it. Mm-hmm. They changed it to you can now use it once for each of your proficiency saving throw bonuses per long rest, which is a change I kind of predicted from what we saw in Fizzbane's, because it seemed like they based a lot of stuff off of your proficiency bonus, which I actually thought was a good idea. I'm like, okay, so this is the methodology they're going with here. I can see them doing this going forward.
Yep.
So that was not a change I was upset with at all.
And that applies to a lot of the short rest mechanics for monsters as well.
Yeah.
So if they had a short rest, you could usually only do it once per short rest. Now it depends on their level and their proficiency bonus. So the higher the level, the more often they can use those short rest mechanics, which I thought was a great change.
Especially since some racial abilities in the past have been tied to a bonus for a specific stat score, which
right.
It's like I get, but
can I just take a moment to appreciate the Hobgoblin artwork where he's got looks like what is that, a lute with an axe attached to it?
Yep.
Or it's an axe with a lute attached to it. Love it.
The Minotaur one, not so much.
Is the Minotaur one is a bard too?
No, it looks like a.
Oh, the artwork looks lame.
Yeah, it looks like a cow.
Move over. All right,
and not like a savage bull, which
it
looks kind of what people liked.
So there's lots of good stuff in here. Like I said, there's 30 different races. So this is a really great resource for any player or even DM if you want to allow these quickly to be available at your game without needing numerous different books that you may or may not get, which I think is really great. Andrew says, the proficiency bonus is how I think they could fix True Strike. Apply it to the next X strikes where X is proficiency bonus. That is a really good, interesting idea.
Interesting.
So that way, so it wouldn't be, you still would require concentration, but because it would apply to more attacks, it would, I could still see people making, well, yeah, because then you might, first time you get it, you'll be able to immediately offset the fact that it's not better just to attack twice because it's going to help more than one attack. I would like to see the numbers on that. It's a good idea. All right, so
or with Turtle, they now changed it to they can't wear armor. Period.
they took away their armor.
No, they still have their natural armor. They just can't wear armor.
Right, so they're basically stuck at 17
plus
shield, so 19. Yeah. That's not too bad, I guess. I mean, they already had really high
true
benefits there,
but they're stuck there.
And there's a lot of good changes, but I think that's going to come down to who you are and what you think.
Yep.
Some of the ones.
Yonti.
What about him?
The whole spellcasting resilience, magic resistance. Once again, they have advantage on saving throws, not against all magic.
Instead of all magic, yeah, which was a powerful thing to have as a player. So that's a really good change. The last thing on player options I think we need to talk on is classes that had subclasses. There's no sub races. There's not sub races anymore. So, for instance,
that's not an either or option.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Asshole. I was getting there. That's just taking me. Apparently, I can't find gnome.
Because I'm not calling them gnomes. They're Feblin. Or deep gnome.
Oh, that's why. Okay, well, that explains why I can't find it. But anyways, if there was a subclass before, or sub-race, it's now just a collection of options. So you can kind of mix and match, which I think is pretty dope.
Yep.
So I think that's it. Is there anything specifically you wanted to continue to touch on for the player options?
Well, you mentioned you want to talk about the kobold as a monster, but
yep.
And as I said, well, since we're going to talk about kobold as a monster, let's talk about them as the player race too. All right.
Okay, and then that'll be a good segue into it. Right. So the kobold race is actually one that's really interesting because they lost a few of their more core features. Specifically, they no longer have sunlight sensitivity across the monster or the player race, and they no longer have pack tactics.
Which is probably made to offset the sunlight sensitivity. But
yes,
hey.
And I understand that really is a thing, and that that's okay. But they changed they had an ability that was like groveling, and they changed it to draconic cry instead. So they took them from being these whiny, wimpy little "I'll beg for my life" type of creatures to letting out a draconic roar or cry or something that just sounds more badass than the groveling one. Now, I was a little kind of upset with that. Garwin says, not really a fan of how they basically removed the hobgoblins' military culture. Look at the names of their abilities and compare it to previous versions, and that the art changed for them. I like the military boys.
And I can understand that mindset too. And I made similar statements about orcs myself. So it's like, I get it. Also worth mentioning that the Kenku aren't stuck mimicking voices anymore.
That's a shame, because I always thought that was it was a real challenge for a player to roleplay that.
But at the same time, it's like, how can a intelligence 20 guy not say the words they want?
Yeah. Okay. I can see that from a story or from a mechanics perspective.
Although if it was like a racial curse done by the gods, which may be part of the lore, I don't remember. But
yeah, I don't know either.
Because like I said, some changes people complain about in the past, like, okay, here's their culture, here's their race, here's like the racial abilities. I'm like, okay, but in many cases though, lore-wise, those actually made sense if you read the lore, which, let's be real here, most people did not do. In many cases, they weren't communicated well in the material.
Yep, absolutely. So finishing up with the kobold. Oh, yes. It was called Grovel, Cower, and Beg.
Yep.
So I was a little upset with that. But you do get.
I think you're just trying to make them not cowards.
Yeah,
default.
Which is a shame because they were always I can't win, so I'm going to get 100 of my friends to come whip your ass with me. At least that's how I've always felt about it. If you're joining us on TikTok, head over to the Red channel. You can join us and interact and chat with us live. All right, so here they did give kobolds a new ability called Kobold Legacy, which I think is pretty cool. And it's one of those, you pick one of these options, craftiness, which basically lets you gain proficiency in another skill. Defiance, you gain advantage against being frightened, which I thought was a really nice one. And of course, Draconic Sorcery gives you one cantrip from the Sorcerer's spell. So this really helps show how versatile kobolds can be.
but once again, you can choose int, wisdom, or charisma for your spellcasting modifier.
Yep. So you can fit whatever class you decide to play, which is really good. So I think that'll do it for talking about the races. As I said, there's a lot of them. Next, we're going to delve into the bestiary, which contains over 250 monsters and NPCs, each one represented by a stat block and story text, which has changed for some of them.
Yep.
And it's worth noting that when Jeremy Crawford made it very clear that part of this change was so that they would fit in a multiversal setting. Some people don't agree with that. But it's your game. You can run whatever lore you want. Hell, you can pick lore from 2nd edition and run it in your 5th edition game if you want. Or you could do Midgard campaign setting from Cobalt Press, which is really good. You should check it out.
Yep. I'll say the biggest changes though are mechanically, as been documented numerous times already.
Mm-hmm.
They got rid of the traditional spell lists in the same way the players do.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea behind this was for DM management. They basically essentially made them like attack options, if you will, that's on the stat block that explains what you do. Which the plus and minus there is, I think on one hand, it's less booking for the DM, which many DMs can value completely. But I've also heard like some DMs say, okay, but these creatures now do less compared to what they used to do before.
Yeah, and
there's ups and downs.
Right, and the big thing I kind of want to touch on that because there were some times, and I don't know how it is for you, where monsters had these just massive ass spell lists, and it could be hard for the person to choose the right one if they weren't experienced enough in the area. And I feel like, and I think they may have said this in their interview, that part of that problem is you could have 3 different DMs at different skill levels run the same monster and you'll get 3 different results.
Right. And the other question I've seen came up that I've yet to, as far as I know, at least, see a straight answer for is, okay, but how does that affect counterspell?
And to my understanding, they are not spells.
Yeah.
So I think the mage one, if we can find it in here, it no longer has, fireball on its spell list. It has a feature that basically is fireball, but it's not called fireball.
Right.
I'm sure there's an index in here.
Now,
They'll tell me which page it's on.
Now, the closest I've seen so far was I've seen a lot of DMs or players say, if I'm running this creature as it's from the stat block and they're using an ability that is so spell-like, and the player chooses to cast counterspell, I'm going to let them have it. And
I can see that. I would agree with that. It's not in here.
Which I totally get, but at the same time, it's like, but having a official ruling would be kind of nice.
Yeah. You know what? You can go on our Twitter and tag Jeremy and ask him see if he'll answer. I doubt he'll answer. He never answers anybody because he's tired of people third degreeing his decisions. Especially after asking. So
I get both sides of that one though.
So talking more a little bit about the monster stat blocks, Ian already mentioned that's a big change. I've also noticed that they've moved bonus actions down into the actions category.
Right. It's also worth mentioning too that they also did change a lot of the numbers for some of the creatures. But part of the idea was they're trying to make them, in many cases, more in line with what their CR is. Which, especially with the other changes they may or may not have made too. And that makes sense.
Yeah. I on the spell listing thing, their spell lists have shrank a lot too.
Yeah.
Like some of them that had like 12 spells now have like 5. Which once again is to get the DM to play the character as it was intended.
Which is on the less versatility part I mentioned earlier.
Right.
But hey.
Chilldraws asks, is it so that they can be nerfed by can't be nerfed by counterspell? Why even have counterspell then to nerf utility of spells?
And short version, we don't know. That's the question a lot of people are asking.
And that's kind of what his point is. Because there's not an official ruling
that I've seen.
Yeah. Yes. And if you've got one, share in the comments or tag us or something. We'd love to see it. But if you're reading it as raw, these aren't spells, they're abilities. You've seen monsters that can use, the action to do something that's spell-like, and before it wasn't able to be countered. Now maybe it can be.
Welcome.
Hey, there daddy is. Not my daddy, the daddy of.
That's right. Call me daddy.
So can we just take a moment to appreciate the artwork though? The artwork is always stellar with the content that comes from Wizards of the Coast.
Except the Minotaur.
Well, okay, yeah. Minotaur wasn't super great, but
it was a cow.
So one of the other things that I don't like that they did, and I'm going to tell you why. So welcome, B.
That'd be good.
is the proficiency bonus is now in the stat block. And I don't like this because before, and Jeremy Crawford has said this to my understanding, that monsters aren't bound by the same rules, especially when you create them. Here, let's take a peek. As the players are. So players have certain proficiency bonus. That's all you get. But you easily could give a monster an extra, 2 points in a skill that they're proficient in without needing to justify it somewhere in the stat block.
Right.
I like that. I like that versatility. Now, if I want to, say, give that thief an extra +2, so instead of a proficiency bonus of 2, I give him a 4. Now I've got to put that in the stat block because somebody on the internet's going to be like, that doesn't match up there. Which has happened to me, even though in the book it told me I didn't matter. So I don't like that change at all. But that's a personal opinion of mine. Brandon, do you have any comments? I know you just got here. No? Okay.
No.
We'll continue. So, what are some of the other big changes that you noticed that really stuck out, Ian? Anything that's maybe not necessarily tied to a specific character or monster?
And like I said, they have changed from the lore here and there for some things we did touch on. And once again, a lot of people have mixed feelings on it. And as I said before, I see both sides to it.
Yeah.
And given the fact there was over 250 entries for creatures in there, it's kind of hard to gravitate towards anything in particular. But
yeah. I would say the thing that stood out to me were iconic monsters.
Yeah.
Like the Beholders are no longer xenophobic, narcissistic a-holes.
Even though that's been their entire
Even though
thing.
that's their shtick. Now, there's nothing from stopping us from running them that way. And I will continue to do so.
Yep.
Because I'm not necessarily a conservative keeping the lore, but when I think Beholder, that's what I think.
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah. But I also understand that they don't want necessarily those features to be locked when you include them into your own worlds or any multiversal areas you go into.
And of course, there's the argument of even when they change it, you could have anyway, but then that becomes circular logic because both sides can make that argument. So
you really like to ride that line. I can see both sides, don't you?
Yeah, I know you find it annoying, but at the same time, I know you get it.
I get it. But yes, it can be annoying. Just a straight answer. This is dumb. That'll be the day. Oh, there's another change.
Although, if you hear ever say it's dumb, that should tell you something.
Yeah, right. So Fey Ancestry.
Yeah, they threw that out to quite a few of these, actually.
That is no longer what it once was.
No.
I need this. Because I want to get the... Actually, I'm sure I've got something on this list
What
here.
is it now?
Or is it Trance? Is it Fey Ancestry or Trance they changed?
Yes.
Damn it, Ian. Let me look for Elf here.
Actually, they did... Because they do document both in changes, so...
So, Fey Ancestry, right? So, what's it say?
All right, for Fey Ancestry, magical sleep of this trait has been moved to the Trance feature.
Yep.
Which is now given to Goblinoids, which includes goblins, hobgoblins, bugbears, which I thought was odd, but some people have said goblins have been Fey in the past, so it's not... So some people have also returned the form. In Trance, as mentioned above, it now grants immunity to magical slumber. Now, more clearly specified that you're conscious while making the long rest. And we now finish the long rest, it gets you to gain 2 proficiencies you did not have before. And each must be a weapon or tool of your choice that isn't a PHB. These last until the end of your next long rest.
You don't want to look to that no more? So Dulcinea says, oh, come on, that's awesome. Or that was awesome. The advantage against charm was great. I disagree as somebody who's always trying to charm the party members. That's always a pain in the ass. They did change a lot of resistances and immunities. Some of the some of them went from immunity down to like resistance, which I thought was interesting.
Or saves and not
so
attacks.
There's really a lot to go on going on in this book, and honestly, overall, I think the changes are for the better.
Yeah.
With the exception of maybe some of the lore changes from a historic standpoint. I understand wanting to be able to change lore like goblins and stuff like that, but the iconic ones, they are trying to, fit them, make them more malleable, right, for any setting,
Right.
which is good. Dulcinea says, as a player who deals with a DM that loves hags, it was great. Yeah, I bet. Brandon, what are your thoughts on this book, looking through it for the first time?
Or what you may have heard before.
Much time to look through it. Are these new races you can actually play as?
No,
Yep.
they're all old races. They just revamped them.
Yeah, they're old races that are from a collection of different books compiled into one. Which, once again,
With a
30
view-
is a lot.
I want to be a fairy. I want to be a genasi.
I like Genasi. That's the other thing they changed. They changed the way the Genasi's spells work.
Yeah, they did.
Shit, hang on, let me find it here. Because I thought that was such a huge change.
Yep.
Okay, so
For one thing, they can all now be medium or small, which that was interesting.
that was a good change too. Like, you can change your size depending on how you want to roll. The Genasi spells, I think they give them access to different spells now.
Yeah.
You get more powerful ones, but it's delayed on when you get them. Is that correct?
Some of them, yes.
Is that not true for all of them?
I just don't want to make a blanket statement without
right, without actually having it in front of us. Well, we do have it in front of us, but
right.
we're not going to jump through it because we only have 2 minutes left to talk about our main topic.
And let's be real here. With only a half hour, we can only scratch the surface so much.
Yeah, and once again, this book is a one-stop shop for you as a player and dungeon master. Obviously, it's mostly geared towards the children. I was like, wait, I can be a small Genasi? Sweet. Yes, you can. And I think that's one of the reasons why they changed the foot movement.
Yeah.
So it would you wouldn't be penalized for wanting to be smaller. But once again,
Yeah.
short legs. I don't know. All right. So is there any other things we wanted to touch on? There's one more I want to touch on, but do you guys have anything?
Not at the top of my head.
Brandon, do you want to tell us about
Are pretty.
the challenge rating changes?
Challenge rating changes. While a few players reach some of the upper echelons of D&D gaming, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Those of us that do reach those levels have found that monsters tend to feel like they are pulling their punches. Though thanks to Lost Odyssey of Theros adding the mythic trait, those monsters are less so. But the Wizards of the Coast game design lead is well aware of it. Thus, the monsters are getting big changes, as Jeremy Crawford told Gizmodo. We've gotten pretty consistent feedback since the core books in 2014, that's for sure.
Jeez, 2014. God, I'm old.
It's
Already been that long?
Yes, it has. My God. The number of our high CR monsters felt a bit too weak.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were punching below their challenge rating. And that does seem true, doesn't it?
So and now it seems clear that it won't. They didn't get an overhaul, but instead some of the higher CR monsters are just getting beefed up.
I thought you were good. So they made them the proper CRs.
So when, Jeremy said that part of this.
Yeah, I'm definitely having Dragon Turtle flashbacks.
Dragon Troll? That's a thing?
Dragon Turtle.
Dragon Turtle. Yeah. So part of the, according to Jeremy Crawford, part of this work for Mordekaisen's book here is changing how these monsters earn their challenge rating. The calculation was awful. In the previous books, the monsters did hit their challenge ratings, but we used different method to hit it. In the past, all the monster had to do was have a set of combat options that if the DM chose the right set, the monster's challenge rating would be there. Here's the issue with that approach. If the DM doesn't happen to pick the golden path of abilities, a number of those monsters then fall under their challenge rating, which is definitely a problem. So in Monsters of the Multiverse, they changed their approach. They've now made it so that each of the monsters have multiple choice sequences that lead to the same CR calculation. And so what that's going to do is give groups who have never fought the optimal version of a monster way more powerful. You're boned. They did also protect their non-combat options, so it is possible for a monster to not be as threatening as CR may seem. But they did make it clear to the DM in this book that when they are taking the path, the DM will be able to make more informed choices. And I think that that's a real critical aspect.
That kind of reminds me of how back in 4th edition, there was a lot of complaints about how the earlier release monsters, the fights went too long. But
Mm-hmm.
and part of that was because they felt the monsters didn't do enough damage. They had way too much health.
Mm-hmm.
So I do know the common compensation was like a lot of DMs like, okay, we'll cut their health in half, but double their damage, which
Yeah.
did speed up combat, but still kept them threatening. So
Chill Draw says, so this could be considered the first 5.5 book. Yes, I would agree with that statement.
certainly a stepping stone. Well, actually, we'll get on to Fizzbanes, but yes.
Damn it, yeah, you're right. Fizzbangs came out first. But this is a continuation, and I think this is the direction they're going to be taking it. So that's all that I wanted to get out. Obviously, I wish. What's up? Can we all just agree that centaurs are weird?
Yep.
Yes. Do the pants go over the backside or like the bottom half of both front and back legs?
Pants?
Pants.
Yeah, like how does a centaur wear pants?
They don't.
They don't.
That's a problem. What if they're in public? Their dong is just hanging for everyone to see?
Same with the horse.
Yeah, but the horse is not a sentient creature that can walk into a whorehouse around the corner and go.
Ever seen monkeys at a zoo? Just saying.
That gap between the teeth looks like your mama had an affair with Mr. Red.
All right. I think that'll do it for our main topic today. I really wish Wizards would have released this so I could buy the digital version. I wanted to show you guys this as we talked about it. But they didn't, and they managed to squeeze more money out than I wanted to invest in books I already have.
I'm sure there's some PDFs with a Jolly Roger on them out there somewhere. Not that we're encouraging that.
Prime Minister says, wow, y'all went there. Oh, you have no idea. We've went there, we've been there, and we'll keep going back.
Yeah.
Still talking the centaur shit?
What? Yeah.
Guess so.
All right. So before we move on to our tips and tricks, I want to tell you guys all about our Warlord Martial class coming out February 12th. You've heard me talk about it on the show, myself and Ian. 4th edition, despite what everyone says, was a good game system.
As long as you went in there with the right expectations.
Yes. If you went in expecting D&D, you didn't get that. If you went in expecting a good tactical RPG, you got that. Well, Warlord was one of my favorite classes. It is a non-magical class that yells and screams Fusro Da to buff everybody up all the time. And it was only a matter of time before I took that and converted it to 5th edition. Thanks to DM's Guild, we can use that lore and that IP to bring that to life. And I'm super excited for this. It uses its hit die as a source to wield its power instead of spell slots or something along those lines. So when you raise a battle shout, is what they're called, one of the shouts, is a battle shout, you'll spend a number of hit die up to your proficiency bonus and grant some sort of buff to your allies. It might be a damage increase, it might be a chance to succeed, increase add dice roll added to saves. It does. There's like 12 of them. There's a lot, and I don't really remember them all because I wrote it like 6 months. We wrote it like 6 months ago or so. So it's been a while, but I'm super excited, and hopefully you guys will keep an eye out and will want to enjoy that because we feel like we set a poll out there a while ago that asks what kind of classes would you like to see, and more martial was one of the top answers that aren't based on spells. Yeah.
Now, I definitely don't mind making the Warlord its own class again, but I'm still surprised that Wizards actually didn't release it as a archetype, if you will, for the fighter.
Yep. Well, they kind of do cover it a little bit with a feat and some of the maneuvers.
And I feel like that's what they tried to do with the Purple Dragon Knight. But as I said before on the conversation, you're like, do you know why people play the Purple Dragon Knight? Or why? Because they suck. I
was trying to get at the fact that it is tied so much to lore, but yeah, he's right. The mechanics weren't designed well either. No. Anyway, so please consider keeping an eye out for that. And if you want to try a fun martial support class that takes the front, buffs their allies, please consider picking up The Warlord by Crit Academy.
Yeet.
All right, now on to our honor tips and tricks.
The only reason you watch us.
And now, what you've all been waiting for, our Unearthed Tips and Tricks segment, where we bring you new and reusable material for both players and DMs.
Alrighty then. I am in the wrong spot.
Well, you were there. Right?
Oh, there we
There
go.
you go.
Ian, would you like to tell us about our strange ass character concept today?
Yeah, the name threw me off at first too. Our character concept is Dagger of Clay. Yes, that's her name. She's a female tabaxi, and she is a woman of bearing and well nourished. She tends to wear a large tan jacket, and she wears a deerstalker hat to hide the fact that she's balding.
Huh. Her personality is that she is shy and timid. She has not had much interaction with people and is skittish around them, like most kitties.
Brrr.
She lacks moral complications. She does what she is told to do by those in power, but not much else. She spends her money on whatever she fancies at the time.
Now, it is worth noting that she was born into a rich family. She went to a religious school and was inspired by priests there in charitable deeds. Though she is talented as a spice merchant in spite of her timidness, but she doesn't like to broadcast it because, she's timid.
Is that a reference to skooma?
I have no, it's not. It's a happy accident.
Uh,
About her motivations.
Yep. She's trying to balance her hectic life, and being a new spice merchant, responsibilities is difficult. And she decides she is irredeemable.
I imagine that's because she grew up in.
So someone looking at a shy tabaxi who thinks life sucks. Got it.
Well, at least her life anyway.
Yeah.
She's pretty chill. I like this because you don't see too many merchants that are reserved. Because usually a merchant is this very outgoing, bolsterous character. And she's not. And I
buy
think
this. You want to buy this? This is what you want. Don't go to her around the corner and go. You like some? Never mind.
also the fact that she's balding is hilarious as a tabaxi because that means it's all around her body, not just her head. Though she does wear a hat, which I thought was a lot of fun. So. Pretty straightforward character concept. Hopefully you like it.
Deerstalker hat.
Yeah, deerstalker hat. Could be a orc stalker hat.
What's a deerstalker hat look like?
I feel like I know, but can't describe it.
That's not a Robin Hood hat, right?
Oh,
No.
oh, like a
It's the-
Victorian England
that,
duck hunting gentleman.
Yeah, Sherlock wore one, I think.
Yeah, one of these.
Yeah,
Oh.
what Sherlock wore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so that'll do it for our character concept, Dagger of Clay, which by the way is totally on par for the way you named Tabaxi.
Yep.
Heart Sphinx Cat, absolutely. Actually, the inspiration was closer to Dragon Ball Z Dragon Ball Super with
Beerus.
Beerus.
What did you just say? What'd you call it?
A Sphinx cat.
What?
I don't know. I thought I heard something about Bart Sphinx Scat. And I was like, okay.
What? I'm a scat man. Skibidi-bop-bop. Anyway.
Oh,
All right, so that'll do it for our character concept, a Dagger of Clay. Our monster variant today, you guys, is going to be awesome. And thanks to Wizards of the Coast, my magic resistance is not
Ridiculous.
yeah, I guess. So the monster today is the Yakan.
Yakan.
No, Yakan.
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 It's Leviosa.
So it's not Leviosa. It's Levioso. I guess. I don't know. Anyways, the origin for this monster, you're going to start with the orc stat block. We're going to drop the aggressive and great act features. We're going to give them some increase to stats for the wisdom to 14. We're going to give them skills in medicine, nature, perception, persuasion, and survival. And we're going to give them new languages, common, druidic, and sylvan. Ooh. Brandon, would you like to tell us about the first feature it gets?
The first feature it gets is magic resistance, which I believe is something I saw in the book.
Yep.
The Yakan.
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 Actually, yeah, it's based on the yak, actually.
Yak.
I'll show you.
Yak.
Yak. That's pretty good.
The Yakan has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. Speak with beasts and plants. The Yakan can communicate with beasts and plants as they shared a language.
Yeah.
I want to show everyone a picture.
So this is like a minotaur, but it's a yak?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll
Pretty
show you a
much.
picture of it. So, Ian, would you like to tell us about our next feature?
Yak.
Why, certainly. Nature's Sanctuary. Creatures of the natural world sense the Yakan's connection to nature and become hesitant to attack it. When a beast or plant creature attacks a Yakan, it must make a DC 12 Wiz saving throw. If it fails, it must choose a different target or attack automatically misses. So it's kind of like Sanctuary.
Mhm.
On a successful save, the creature is immune to this effect for 24 hours. And the creature is aware of the effect before it attacks the Yakon.
Yeah. All right. We're also going to give it
Oh,
powerful
bitch.
build, which means it counts as one size larger for determining carry capacity and push the weight it can push, drag, or lift. Yeah.
Moo.
Move. Oof. Bitch, get out the way. All right, so for actions,
my
we're going to give
God.
it some new powers. We're going to give it the Mark of the Hunter. The Yakon can use a bonus action to mystically make a creature within 120 feet its quarry. For 1 hour, the Yakon deals an extra 1d4 damage to the target whenever it hits it with a weapon attack. Sound familiar?
Yep.
It's a weak
Hunter's
hunter's mark,
Mark. Yeah.
right? Additionally, the Yakon has advantage on wisdom, perception, and survival checks to find that target. And it can move it, when it drops to 0. Anyways,
Moo.
we're also going to give it a reaction called the Briar Thorn Armor. While the Yakon wears its tribal armor, the thorny bark armor can damage attackers. When a creature grapples or is grappled by the Yakon, it can, or if it hits it with a melee attack, the Yakon can use its reaction to deal 1d4 piercing damage. That's the Yakon. I even got a picture of it. Boom. Where'd it go? It's not there. There it is. Okay, there he is.
That thing.
It's very. I really like this monster. This is the one. What do you guys think?
I think this one's fun.
It sounds fun. I would have a fun time with it.
Yeah, I'll be poking some people. Now, I did just finish writing adventure for our patrons that includes this monster and one of the maps Brandon made. And what's funny is these are not necessarily evil creatures. If you notice, there was some druid tossed in there, right?
Yep.
With the Sylvan and the Druidic and stuff and the nature sanctuary. These are meant to be a neutral people, with the exception in this adventure, they've been diseased by accident by travelers. So I'm really excited for that to come out. Please consider becoming a patron. You'll be able to get this monster fully fleshed out lore, stat block, all that jazz, as well as, access to the adventure that's coming out. So what would you do to get the most out of this?
Have more than one.
That's a good start.
Have more than one.
The idea of these bastards just love giving bear hugs was something that came through my mind. They're such a community driven people that they just want to hug everyone, but they're wearing this thorny ass armor. Come and give me a daddy a hug.
Well, since yaks tend to hang out in herds,
Yep.
I would imagine that it could actually hide in a herd and no one would suspect a thing because of the way it looks. And when they're walking along by the herd, he just goes, "Gotcha, bitch!" Just grab one.
I love it. I love it.
That kind of ties in with our player tip.
Wait.
Small tease ahead.
Oh, I like that. All right, I think that'll do it for our monster variant, the Yakon. Brandon, would you like to tell us about our encounter of the podcast?
Our encounter is the smorgasbord. DM inspo on TikTok.
Yes. So, for clarification, I did not come up with this idea. I saw a video and I just fleshed it out.
Sure.
Smorgasbord. Huh.
I came up with the name too because I'm weird.
When the characters enter a large city, they stumble across a moderately sized shop that sells quality items and even some with magical properties.
Ooh.
Raymond Dale, a spy, is owner and operator of the establishment. When entering, a character with a successful DC 17 passive wisdom perception check spots some etchings well hidden on the hinge of the entryway. A character with Thieves' Cant spots it as a general warning to avoid doing business in this store.
Whoa. I mean, if these won't do business here, that should tell you something.
Right.
Inside the shop, they sell items at ridiculously low prices. Most items are easily half the price of market value.
They're cursed.
They
gotta be.
A character who succeeds on the DC 15 Wisdom Insight or has the Guild Artisan background can quickly deduce the shop could barely stay afloat at such price margins. A character that succeeds on a investigation check spots a collection of small jewels in the ceiling. That is not spelled right. A successful DC 19 Arcana check or a detect magic spell reveals the true nature of the jewels. Arcane instruments used for scrying.
I believe autocorrect for that. All right, so let's talk about the reality of this. The shop doesn't trade in valuable equipment, but instead in information on its customers. A clan of vampires use the shop and merchant as a source of choosing who the best feeding stock is and keeps their business dealings in the dark.
Nice.
Oh, what the fuck?
What do you guys think about that?
Plot twist. And a good one, too.
It's underhanded bullshit, is what it is.
I really tried hard to include other features like the Thieves' Cant and the Guild Artisan to automatically get benefits. Oh my God, Mark Zuckerberg runs this shop.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I am the devil. I was Zuckerberg even before Zuckerberg.
I think that this is a fun encounter just because the straight up ass backwards twist that's tied to it. When something is too good to be true, it probably is. And so a group of adventurers might be really excited to get some new magical equipment at a discount price, but then are attacked in midnight by vampires in their spawn, which is just awesome. Dulcinea says, I want to use that in my game so bad. Well, luckily for you, you can. Just make sure you use the right ceiling, like as in the roof, and not the ceiling as in binding somebody, because I put the wrong one there.
I'm now flashing back to a meme of a fighter who was dressing as a clown, and the party member is like, "Why are you doing that?" In case the villain tries to scry us, because it's like the BBEG back in his first leading to a crystal ball. A clown! This thing must be busted.
that was a joke on Family Guy.
That sounds hilarious.
Peter's out in Vietnam. He's got a clown suit on. He's like, you guys got it all wrong. They're gonna be looking for army guys.
That's a Nat 1 deception or disguise check. A disguise kit check if I ever heard one. All right, that'll do it for our encounter, the smorgasbord. Sleep well, adventurers.
Oh, I get it. Smorgasbord.
Wow.
People,
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
You don't get it till you get to the last like 3 lines.
Yeah. Now, our magic item today, the Battle Standard of Celestial Might.
All might.
That sounds epic already. It's a very rare, wondrous item that requires attunement. This holy forged battle standard is made of celestial steel and fitted in a small, unopened gilded crystal orb containing the feathers of a solar's wing. The orb has 19 AC, 10 hit points, and immunity to all types of damage except force. If the feather is destroyed or released, the banner becomes a mundane item.
What's a solar?
It's an angel.
It's an angel.
Powerful angel.
While you hold this banner, your weapon, attacks, and those of all allied creatures within 300 feet of you count as magical for the purposes of overcoming damage immunities and resistances.
Yeah.
Additionally, each weapon deals an additional 1d4 radiant damage.
What do you guys think?
Da-da-da.
That's a sexy ass buff.
It's a very nice buff.
It's all right for the standards here. All right, I really like this. I thought this was an interesting mechanic. I'm gonna be honest, this was a different flavor magic item that I changed because it was something from Avernus, my Avernus book, I think.
Yeah.
But instead of
Makes sense.
angels, it applied to like demons and devils and shit.
Yeah.
So I changed some stuff, but I really wanted something really nice that was more of a support thing. And the idea of adventurers just running around with a big stick and holding it. Why isn't he fighting? I've got a more important job to do.
And for the record, a Solar is a CR21.
So the real question is,
Angel.
how the hell did they get a CR's wing feathers into this little container?
It was a gift.
Ooh, I like that. That's much less brutal than I was imagining.
Sometimes the answers are more mundane than you would think.
All right, that'll do it for our magic item, the Battle Standard of Celestial Might. Our Dungeon Master tip is prep the world, not the plan.
Yeah.
So a common theme for newer Dungeon Masters is spending time prepping based on what they expect the player characters to do.
Good luck.
This is a good thing to consider when prepping, but don't spend too much time on it. Time and time again, players do the unexpected. Trying to predict that is like winning the lottery. Sure, it happens, but usually to someone else.
Like, do you really expect players to polymorph a dragon turtle into an actual turtle?
Nope, not at all.
So instead, spend your time preparing the world around them. Flesh out the location, NPCs, current political climate, or events that are happening around them. By spending more time on the environment that the characters spend their time in, you have a good, solid idea of what's going on with or without the characters.
Yeah.
This significantly builds confidence when it comes to running the game when you are forced to improvise from disjointed or unexpected character decisions. Focus on what you can control and less on what you can't. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
We design the world and have control over it. We don't control the players and their characters. Well, yeah.
All right. So
Keep your
overall, this
shit.
is a pretty straightforward concept.
Like Justin here.
What?
Like you're like, oh, I don't like the snowman anymore. Can you kill him off? It's like, yeah, sure, I'll kill him off for you. And he gave me the hardest time I've ever had trying to kill a character.
Sorry.
Yeah. You're like,
Wasn't that the one that you tried to step on to death?
This one I did step on the death.
Oh, I tried to run.
with the snake guards.
So,
Such bullshit.
this is one of those tips that really needs to be written out in plain words for dungeon masters in the DMG.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because I have been down that road where I'm like, okay, where are you guys planning to go? We're planning to go this way, but when the game time comes, I plan for it to go that way, and they go the other direction because they suck sometimes. And it's a waste of your effort. But by taking time to focus on the area, Drew and Dragon says, dropping in, wishing everyone a happy Sunday and hoping you are well. Thordgard lives. Thordgard! Our winner on Clash of Classes. If you've not seen it, you should go and check it out over at our YouTube channel right now. We have a nice playlist of 3 for you.
Seriously,
Anyways.
people are liking it.
Right. People love it. It's blowing up. So consider checking it out. Anyways, this needs to be something that's in there, because if you spend less time figure out where the players are going and decide, okay, here's the noble that's running the place. Here's what he's doing. Here's the problems he's having. Here are the troublemakers in the city. Here how they're affecting this location over here. No matter where the players go, something is going on, and you can react to it better, even if it is improv.
Why am I seeing one
that makes
picture
sense.
on YouTube, but another picture in the restream?
Did the YouTube freeze?
No. I refreshed it.
I don't know. That's weird.
That is weird. Anyway,
Let's close again. All right, we'll give that a shot. Yeah, I don't know. You're right. On YouTube, it shows a scene up. There it goes.
Yeah, the next player tip.
All right, so Dungeon Master Trip, prep the world, not the plan, because
Good luck.
What did
Character players are assholes.
you watched Flash, right?
Yeah.
The Citizen or not Captain Cold. He once said one of my favorite lines. Make the plan, or write the plan, or make the plan, write the plan, and then throw out the plan. When everything goes to hell or something like that. It's a great quote. Just something you gotta check out. All right, that'll do it for our Dungeon Master tip. Prep the world, not the plan. Brandon, would you like to tell us about our player tip of the podcast?
Don't be a dick.
Actually, this one is dickitude.
This one is Dickitude.
It was.
Zen Zed Shuffle. Is it called the Zen Zed Shuffle?
Yes.
That's what I called it.
Okay.
From-
During our class.
Did you forget?
Yeah. During our Clash of Classes second match, one of the players delivered a fantastic combo. The Circle of the Moon Druid has an extremely versatile collection of spells and features, but the clever use of Wild Shape, Dick, and Conjure Animals makes for a powerful misdirection and ambushing technique. I cannot believe.
All right, which one of these cows is the druid?
The quote is, make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan.
Yep.
Yes, I could not believe when this happened. We were both kind of confused like, where'd the player go? Because he shape-shifted into one of the octopuses.
Yeah.
Like it blew my mind. Not only is this a great player tip for just demolishing any plans that your DM has, but also your DM can use this too. So please do. I think this is a masterful tool for misdirection and escape, or overwhelming your enemy.
I think the best part about seeing this is when we realized what was going on.
Oh yeah.
You're like, why are the 3 octopus? The player's one of them. The player's one of them.
Well, I think at first it was like, why did he summon an octopus? It's stuck in the water. Oh a genius. So the Zen Zed Shuffle is from our player Zen Zed in our Clash of Classes game. Player versus player, 1v1. It was epic. It was great.
It was clever.
Shuffle.
So definitely consider checking that shit out.
Yep.
All right. I think that'll do it for our player tip of the podcast.
Don't be a dick.
And you can avoid dickitude by applying the Zen Zed Shuffle. Dulcinea says, what the
Drew.
hell? It's almost over
Drew.
already? Why did that go by so fast?
Because you're having
Hopefully
fun.
because you're having a good time.
Yeah.
I hope.
Or it's because I showed up late and it just seems like short.
Yeah, without you here, it does
go
It does
faster.
go faster.
Because like,
No, that wasn't a
talking.
negative thing. It's because I'm not asking both of you for your thoughts, not because
Yeah.
you're not fun. You're very fun, Brandon.
I hope
love you,
so.
Brandon. I want you to know that.
I love you too.
Like a brother.
You're
not that kind of
appreciated.
brother. All right. I am
Oh,
super. That'll do it for our show today. Before we close out today, every week we like to give away Fat Loots. Brandon, what are we giving away today?
Today we're giving away the What the fuck is that? Jeez, okay. We're giving away something called the Goblin Bathwater Incident by Marius Brunner. The Goblin Bathwater Incident is an introductory adventure centered on a rural town and its many forms of intrigue and insanity. The players have to investigate ancient caves, solve goblin immigration issues, and find a resolution for the insurmountable discord between the town's political figures. What's that to do with bathwater?
Literally on the front of the cover, it says an alchemist, a fisher, and a goblin walk into a bar.
Oh.
What the hell?
So,
That's what the
It's got 5
if you don't
stars.
know, goblin bathwater is a magical drug. Has taken hold in a sleepy coastal town
Oh,
at the edge of an empire.
okay.
As the characters investigate the origin of the drug, they uncover this kind of criminal conspiracy with wild and ancient magics and threats to, the world and stuff. It really is a great adventure. It's amazingly well written. Kudos to Marius Brunner, and thank you for submitting it. Who is our winner today, Brendan?
It's a PC Dorney. And to be honest, when we said Goblin Bathwater, I thought it was like referring to what's her name, Delphine or Bill Delphine selling her bathwater on eBay. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Goblin selling bathwater is like a soup?
Oh my god.
It's when they're serving his beer in the tavern.
What is this? Why does this beer taste funny?
It tastes like goblin piss.
Well, we tell him not to go in the tub.
So nasty. Tastes
All
like acid.
right. Didn't win? No problem. Head on over to critacademy.com and subscribe to our newsletter for your chance to win. That's all it takes. Sign up. There's all kinds of benefits to signing up, including getting a free copy of our best-selling Challenge Accepted. Please go do it. Brandon, you want to close us out here, bud?
I'll close us out. If you enjoy the show and want to support us, visit us at critacademy.com. Follow us on social media and leave us a review. 5-star nonetheless, if you could.
Yes. You can do it on Spotify now. So if you've got Spotify, please go and leave us a review.
And on Spotify.
Please do that. Spotify, we want more Spotify.
We need some delicious 5 stars.
They're luscious and succulent. I feel like I'm supposed to say something else, but I
Yeah.
guess I am your host, Justin.
I'm your host, Ian.
I'm your co-host, Brandon. Thanks for listening.
Keep your blades sharp and spells prepared, heroes.
Damn, we nailed it. Woo! Thanks for joining.